Saludos! It's Gabe Morales here for Gangsters, Cops, and Politicians. Breaking news on July 18th, 2022, California Governor Gavin Newsom granted a release for former Mexican Mafia member Rene Boxer Enriquez, who was from Artesia in a gang called Arta. Was it a ploy by the governor to garner votes from the far left, or was it a righteous decision to free a convict who has been locked up for decades and has learned his lesson? Regardless how you feel about this, like Mundo Mendoza before him, Enriquez helped bring down a lot of Mexican Mafia members. No te agüites ese mundo. Just give him props here. I've always said you and Rene have authored what is probably the most comprehensive book on La M entitled The Mexican Mafia Encyclopedia 2012, put out by Police and Fire Publishing. It is even better than my own book, The History of the Mexican Mafia. So there it is, man. Hopefully you pray and search deep in your corazon and decide this YouTube world is big enough for both of us, eh? Chris Blatchford is a Fox TV reporter in Los Angeles, California, who has produced numerous award-winning documentaries on prison gangs. His book, The Black Hand, co-authored with Enriquez, is a must-read. I consider Chris to be a good friend, and we gave him an award in San Bernardino for his great work when I was with the International Latino Gang Investigators Association. To the best of my knowledge, this is how the criminal career of Boxer went. But since he will be out now, he can correct me if I'm totally wrong. Boxer was convicted of sodomy, yes, a sex charge, and pulled a Buena Park supermarket robbery in 1981 when he was caught by police. He eventually pled to 21 counts of armed robberies he committed in Orange County, as well as 8 counts in LA County. Simon Novato was busy. He was assigned CDC number C35352 at the California Institution for Men in Chino, where most Southern California offenders are processed at the receiving center there before they're shipped out to other pintas. He met Black Down Barella and other Mexican Mafia at San Quentin. In 1984, he was transferred to DVI, where he did a hit with Francisco Papa Martinez from 18th Street, who became a MA shot caller later on, and is presently housed at the ADX in Florence, Colorado on a RICO case. Enriquez was transferred to Folsom on October 2nd, 1984, where he ran the yard with his Arta homeboy, Sammy Villalba, and both they and other MA were involved in the infamous war against the blacks. For his valor in battle, Boxer was sponsored into La M by Corin Slappy Elmore from Planton, and I'm sure Black Dan also rose a hand for him, since sponsorship usually takes at least 2 members to put a carnal up for a vote. Due to his activity at Folsom, Boxer was transferred to Tehachapi right before I started working at New Folsom. He was released to the streets in July 1988, had a couple of parole violations in 1989, and was housed in Corcoran Shoe in the summer of 1989 before being released again and catching another violation. He was involved in 2 murders he plotted on behalf of the MA, using Gilbert Little Mole Reeves from White Fence as the shooter in one case, and he pulled the trigger in the other case. The victims were a renegade MA member named David Loco Gallegos and an MA associate named Cynthia Gavaldon, who was accused of stealing money from Boxer. In 1989, 5 days after his release from custody, the body of Cynthia Gavaldon was found in a vacant lot in Boyle Heights, located in East LA. Enriquez told the parole board he ordered Cynthia killed because she had been stealing drugs for him. Cynthia was related to Spider and Big Spider Gavaldon, who were MA members that I covered in a previous episode covering Cantaranas in Southeast Los Angeles County gangs. About a week after Gavaldon's body was found, Enriquez gave an overdose of heroin to David Gallegos, who was a Mexican Mafia member that was in bad standings and considered a coward for running from a fight. They propped Gallegos up in a car and thought he might already be dead from overdose, but Enriquez shot him anyways. On May 20th, 1990, Boxer hit Henry Indio Carlos at the LA County Jail, who was an MA member I received about a year later in the New Folsom Violence Control Unit A5 building A section, where many Mexican Mafia and an Aryan Brotherhood members were housed. Boxer and Topo Peters, who was considered to be the #1 Emero at the time, also hit Sal Buenrostro over 24 times at the LA County Jail visiting room on July 16, 1991. This was allegedly for dissing honorary MA godfather Joe Morgan. Topo Peters considered Joe to be his East LA brother, and they are pictured together in a very famous picture with several of the heavyweights at the time, including Cheyenne Cadena, who was the real Santana in the movie American Me. Boxer obtained a new CDC number, H69471, and was closely tied to the Topo car. When Topo died on February 18, 2001, I think he felt he would be an even bigger target, as Topo had many enemies, who were also Boxer's enemies. Enriquez decided to drop out of the MA officially in spring of 2002, but I was made aware of his defection in February 2002 by an escorting officer where he was housed. Yes, I don't know everything, but I do have eyes and ears everywhere. When I informed a California gang task force member of this, who was related to the head of the task force coordinator, he told me nobody's supposed to know about that yet. So I kept it on the low until it came out at their next meeting. Prior to this time, Enriquez had been housed at Pelican Bay with all of the heavy hitters. I think he sensed that he was going to be hit and decided to finally roll over.
Don't misconstrue that to think that every Mexican Mafia member is a walking genius or anything, because some of them are just as sharp as rocks. But some of the guys sit back. I mean, we're sitting here doing life, and we have nothing better to do than educate ourselves. So we take college courses. I mean, we read all this classical literature, this Eastern philosophy, and it's absorbed. I mean, we utilize this. We put this to work. In terms of the training, I mean, we all go through basic education as to where to hit people. I mean, where vital organs are, the manner in which we hit them, called shifting gears, or over-the-shoulder stabbing motions, which are best to sink the knife the deepest. But there's two areas basically concentrated on. That's the chest area, the mid-torso, and the white lower quadrant of the abdominal area under the ribs, which is liver shot. I mean, this is massive hemorrhage either way, and that's where we try to hit people when we stab them. In terms of weapon manufacturing and education and assaults, I mean, this is almost Disneyland stuff, because we learn this as Sureños. We come up and we know how to make bombs, zip guns, explosives, crossbows, knives, everything. I mean, we're well schooled and well heeled. You put me in any room, anywhere, I'll come out with a weapon, no matter what. I'll come out with something usable.
He was housed at the LA County Prison in Lancaster for many years, and more recently has been housed at Ironwood Prison in the Mojave Desert, located east of Palm Springs. Enriquez has done a lot of evil in his life, and I do not consider him to be a Hollywood celebrity. But I do hope he is sincere in making changes in his life, and that he will give some of the money that he makes back to the community and to help his victims, like ex-con and ex-gang member Mark Salazar of Colorado does, who I'm releasing a video on at the same time today. None of us are perfect, most certainly not me. We have all sinned, and it is true. Only God can judge us, and he will. So stay trucha en tu carrucha. Until next time, this is Gabe Morales for Gangsters, Cops, and Politicians.